Hello and welcome to another round of Championship predictions from the Honest Football Podcast. I'm Craig Savage and with me as always is Mr. Daniel Cody. Let's have a quick recap of the midweek fixtures, and there were two perfect scores and the two of them were mine. Stoke versus Bournemouth, which ended 1-0 to Bournemouth, and Fulham 2, Cardiff 0. Daniel Cody just got the odd points here and there, but not enough because of my two perfect scores. I win matchday 13 with 8 points to 6. Let's get on with the first game in match day 14. It is Cardiff versus Middlesbrough. The early kickoff on Saturday. Another defeat for Cardiff, 7 in a row, lost in the derby. Had some chances against Fulham, but quality shown for Fulham.
Yeah, I mean, let's be fair. Even at the start of the season, probably Fulham away isn't a game they'd necessarily expect to win. But there were encouraging signs in the performance. A few of the younger players did particularly well, especially Ruben Colwell was obviously moving through the ranks very quickly now. But it is a young side, and I think Mick McCarthy alluded to it. They need a few of those experienced players to just pull them through the sticky spell. And at home to Middlesbrough, they're facing a side who haven't been great on the road this season. They've only won one game, but they'll take massive confidence from the fact that they played Barnsley off the park. It was a brilliant performance, considering how many players Middlesbrough have got out. To still be in the top half, to be 3 points off the playoffs, I think is an excellent achievement at this stage. I don't know which way to go with this game. If Cardiff lose, and it hasn't happened before since we record this episode, surely it will be Mick McCarthy's last game because you can't lose 8 in a row. But I don't think they are going to lose. I'm going to start with the Championship's favourite scoreline because I want to play safe, and I bet you were going to do the same.
Yeah, I knew you would. Yeah, Middlesbrough, a great win. What more? Probably should have made it 3-0 for Middlesbrough. I don't know what he was thinking there. Cardiff, had chances, but Fulham had 24 shots, which is obviously quite late, especially with a team that's low in confidence. That's what you're expecting. Obviously, with Fulham's attacking quality, that doesn't really surprise me. You had 1-1. I think I'm going to go 2-1 to Middlesbrough. Right, next up, it is Birmingham City versus Swansea, and it's been a very good week for Swansea.
It has been a very good week. Obviously, the Cardiff game in the derby against a side in poor form, but against West Brom, a side that, yes, we said haven't been performing well, but have been getting results. And Swansea, they'd be really happy with that week. And it shows the Championship, doesn't it? A week or so ago, Swansea were potentially an outside threat for the relegation zone the way they were. Now, up to 17 points, 4 off the playoffs, but still down in 15th place. It's a crazy start, really. Birmingham stopped the rot away at Huddersfield, did okay to get a point, but there's nothing to inspire recently, is there? And that's actually 6 games in a row in the league they haven't scored now, which is a huge concern. When we talked about some of the quality attacking talent they've got there and players in creative positions, to not score in 6 is a real worry. They've got one of the worst home records in the league. They're the lowest scorers in the league at home, only 3 goals in 6 games. And Swansea are starting to look a lot better. So the sensible money has to be on Swansea here. And I think they're going to do it. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Swansea win. I'm going to bank on Birmingham to end the goal drought, though.
I agree on Birmingham in the goal drought. I think this might be a game too much for Swansea in the way of 2 hard games with Cardiff in the derby. Obviously, you're going to put a lot more in the derby, and against West Brom coming from behind very, very, very early. It's obviously a great result. I think that might just take a little bit out of them. Especially they are a young side, Swansea. So I think it could be a draw. I'm going to go for the Championship's favourite scoreline of 1-1. Right, next up at Ewood Park, it is Blackburn Rovers versus Reading. Blackburn's form is dipping. Reading looked comfortable at 2-0, but lost 3-2 to Blackpool.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about the brilliant comeback later, but Reading, not the best defensively again in that game. And you do have to question mentality at that stage, because I think most of us thought that the game was won for Reading, and perhaps that crept into them as well. But we need to give Blackpool a bit of credit on that front too. Blackburn are in dire straits again. Worryingly, in the last game against QPR, they stopped scoring as well. But to be fair to them, it was a late, brilliant strike that sealed the victory. Otherwise, it would have been a decent point. So I'm not going to get too concerned about them. I have no idea what to predict for this game. I think it's the hardest of the weekend. Reading haven't drawn a game away from home, which is the only thing putting me off going for that. And Blackburn haven't been bad at home. 3 wins out of 6. I think I'm going to bank on them to come back to form. I think that midweek performance will have caused a few problems at Reading. I'm going to go for Blackburn to win 2-1.
I'm going to go for another draw in this one. I don't think it'll be 2-2 like the other previous draws that I've seen with Blackburn at home, but I think 1-1. I'm going to go for 1-1 again. I think Reading would be thoroughly disappointed just to collapse like that because, as you said, I was one of them to say, yeah, Reading won the game. Blackburn didn't have many chances in the game. Tommy Mowbray said that they didn't have any chances, but 16 shots and 5 shots on target. It's a lot more to your 5 shots and 1 on target. So that's typical Tony Mowbray. But I think they'll get another point in this one. I'm going to go for 1-1. Right, next up, it's a team that beat Reading. It's Blackpool. They're at home to Preston North End. It's a bit of a Lancashire derby there. Preston's first win, shall I say, since August. And as we said, Blackpool had that incredible comeback against Reading.
Yeah, I mean, let's get Preston out the way first. They were thoroughly deserving winners against Coventry. Really good header for the first goal, actually, which has to be mentioned, across it in the far post. It was encouraging signs, and I've said this all season. Preston, obviously in previous years, have talked about a playoff push, but with the squad they've got at the moment, I think the manager's doing an okay job. Yes, they're down in 18th, but it's so tight from there up that I wouldn't be too worried about that. Blackpool, we have to give so much credit to the recruitment. I know I've talked about Shane Lavery a lot this season, but Jerry Yates from lower down the EFL with 2 goals and 2 debutants that were just stealing the show last night, essentially. Owen Dale, who came in on loan from Crewe on deadline day with an option to buy, stepping up to the Championship with a goal and an assist. He was absolutely brilliant. And Sonny Carey, who they got from Kings Lynn in non-league this summer, and he pops up and gets an assist as well and was one of the best players on the park. So incredible recruitment from the lower leagues from Blackpool, something that our club Luton have done well over the years, and they're really impressing me. And they're only 3 points off the playoffs too, because there's so many teams on 18 points. At home, though, I'm really not sure. 3 wins and 3 defeats for Blackpool. Preston on the road are pretty poor. They haven't won a game all season. So I think I'm going to have to go for a draw. I know it's a derby. It's going to be fiery. I think I'm going to stick with the Championship's favourite scoreline.
I'm not. I'm going to go for Blackpool to win again. Yeah, something about this game, I just got a feeling Blackpool will do it. Could you say obviously it was a good win for Preston in midweek? Was that just a one-off because Coventry didn't turn up in the second half? I don't know. But I think Blackpool might sneak this one. I'm going to go for Blackpool to win 2-0. Right, next up, it is the only unbeaten side left in the EFL. It is Bournemouth. They're at home to Huddersfield Town. Huddersfield typical 0-0 that we should have really guessed. Despite you did get the point on that one, Cody. But Bournemouth, another 1-0 away win. And not only that, they signed Robbie Brady on a free.
Yeah, another really good signing, actually, an experienced one. We talked about Gary Cahill a bit earlier in the summer, but just picking out those players who can add a little bit of depth and experience in the squad. To be honest, they've got to be favourites now, haven't they? They've already put up a 5-point lead at the top of the Championship. They look consistent, they look fluent, and unlike Bournemouth in previous years, even under Jason Tindall and Woodgate, they look a lot more solid at the back as well. I think they've only conceded 2 goals in the last 6 games. But Huddersfield have got 3 clean sheets in a row as well. So I think this might end up being a really low-scoring game. Huddersfield have done brilliantly against sides that aren't expected to be in the top 6. But I still do question their ability against the biggest sides in the league. We haven't yet seen many of those big performances against the top teams. So I think I'm going to edge for Bournemouth to win it. I'm going to go for 3-1 to Bournemouth.
I think Huddersfield put up a good fight, actually. I do agree with you on that one. But I'm going to go 2-0 to Bournemouth. Ryan Christie's really impressing me so far, obviously playing in the Championship. Obviously, it's a lot different to playing the SPL. So I see him adjusting really well to that. So Solanke's scoring, which is good. I think Bournemouth will probably score early. I think they can easily get a second one, especially being at home. Huddersfield could collapse on that. But if Huddersfield get the big men forward, obviously on set pieces, they could really do a job as well. So I'm going to go Bournemouth to win 2-0. Right, next up, it is Coventry City. They're at home to Derby County. Coventry had that collapse in the second half against Preston. Derby, a couple of mistakes, pretty much cost them. Yeah,
to be fair, it was a very good performance from Derby. I mean, we'll dig into Luton's defence later on for conceding 2 against a side that's scoring every other game. But defensively, Derby were punished in that game. And it was the first time we really saw cracks in that experienced defence in a big moment. And unfortunately, it's cost them what could be a crucial 3 points in that battle at the bottom, particularly with the likes of Hull and Barnsley losing again. I can't see past Coventry at home. I know that we took pelters for it a little bit earlier in the season, but there is now no doubting that Coventry are a very different side at home and away. They've got the best home record in the league. They've won every single point at home. and he won one game and 7 away from home. And weirdly conceded the third most, on the road. So I think at home they're going to win comfortably. It's just what score at the moment. I'm going to go for a comfortable, safe as you like, 2-0 victory. But this is the sort of game where the Championship can throw you, isn't it?
It certainly can. And I have to agree with you as well. I'm going to go Coventry to win. I think with Derby, from looking at the highlights of the game against Luton, obviously Derby pounced on Luton's mistakes. Coventry might see the aerial threat of what Luton did to Derby, might exploit that. But obviously, crowds are obviously going to be, Coventry crowd obviously going to be behind them. So I think it'll be a good game. I'm going to go 2-1. I think Derby will get one back, but I think it's going to be another win for Coventry at home. Right, next up, it's Luton Town versus Hull City. Luton obviously drew 2-2. Obviously, we said about the mistakes against Derby. Hull, a 6-pointer, and they blew it because they had that penalty and missed it.
Yeah, it was a contender for worst penalty of the season, even this early on, wasn't it? It was absolutely awful. The problem is, defensively, Hull, particularly from set pieces and aerial threats, are all over the place. And we saw this towards the end of the season last time they were in the Championship. And I know there's a little bit of talk about Grant McCann again now, but those last two games, Peterborough and even Huddersfield away, a side that weren't scoring goals for fun, to concede two and sit a silly one from a set piece again, it's a familiar pattern for them. Luton, I can't see past for this game because it's 4 unbeaten now, generally in much better form. And I don't think Hull have got the ability to deal with that threat. We mentioned Luton's second goal, a great peeling header at the back post. And Hull City are vulnerable to that. I can't see how Luton don't score goals. I very rarely convincingly back Luton because I don't want to look biased, but I think it's the sensible prediction this week. I'm going to go for 3-0. But Luton, of course, potentially have a defensive error in them. But I'll bank on the clean sheet this time.
I'm going to bank on the clean sheet as well. I'm going to go 2-0 Luton. I'll be happy with just 3 points. Obviously, keep climbing up the table. Didn't play particularly well against Derby. Played a lot better against Millwall. Probably took it out on them. But it's a good squad, as in didn't play well, but picking up a point, especially away from home. So 4 points in the last 2 away games. They're more than happy to take that. I think they probably would have taken it to start with. Hull, confidence just seems to be shot. This was the game against Peterborough to get some points in. Obviously, they didn't take it. And all right, they got obviously the first goal they conceded was worldy, not gonna lie, but that confidence seems to be shot after that McGuinness penalty miss. So I think it could be a really tough afternoon for Hull. But I'm gonna go 2-0. I'm not gonna go. It's gonna be another Coventry game, for example. So 2-0 Luton Town. Right, next up it is Millwall versus Stoke City at New Den. Stoke lost to Bournemouth. Millwall, great recovery from losing 2-0, winning late on against Sheffield United.
Yeah, really good result and solid performance from Millwall. They needed it probably after the weekend, a game where their fight, their determination was even questioned by the manager to an extent, but it was the best possible response. I know you can say that the game was very much determined by the red card early in the second half, and it was a Morgan Gibbs-White who was doing very well before that, but Millwall took advantage. They, I would say, just about deserved the win in the end, and it was classic Millwall. Bombarding the box, they had a bit of an aerial threat. They gave up a lot of the possession, and it was Millwall at their best for me. So a great response from them. I do worry a little bit about Stoke because on the road this season have not been great. Only 1 win in the 6 games, and although it was a very even game against Bournemouth, they're not taking too many chances at the minute. And after early in the season where they're involved in a lot of thrillers, that's 4 games in a row now where they've either scored none or won. 3 goals in 4 games. I think I have to play safe again. I know this is a really boring set of predictions from me, but I'm going to go goalless for this one.
Oh, well, I don't think there'll be many guys either, but I'm going to go for the odd solitary goal. I originally put 1-1 for you because that's what I was expecting. No, I think Millwall will sneak this one 1-0. I really do. I think it's not going to be the most spectacular game, but aerially, I think Millwall might just do enough if it works out. But yeah, 1-0 to Millwall. Right, next up, it's Peterborough United versus Queen's Park Rangers. Both these teams picked up 3 points in midweek. I think how much of a confidence boost would that be for Peterborough picking up 3 points, especially away from home?
Yeah, and given the circumstances as well, I think if that penalty had gone in, it would have been a very different game. But they fought back well. They worked some good opportunities. The first goal, I know you said it was a worldie to strike, but prior to that, it was a very well-worked, quick, short corner routine. And the second goal, lovely ball in behind. Dembele, doing a really good job. When you consider that Marriott, Jay Jones and Johnson Clark Harris are all out, the fact that they had essentially two midfielders up front in Dembele and Schmodic. They did really well. QPR, crucial to get the win. Again, relied on a bit of individual magic. It wasn't a fantastic performance, to say the least, but after the Fulham game, they'd probably be more happy just to have kept a clean sheet, in truth. We know Peterborough are so much better at home. I don't know what to go for, Craig. This is probably the second toughest. I'm going to go for a thriller. I know it's going to be a thriller. I just don't know what to put the score as. 3-2 QPR. I'm going to regret it, but 3-2 QPR. Is that what you had?
Yeah, I just literally write down 3-2 QPR. This could be the game of the day. I think it will be game of the day. So I'll let you have your 3-2 to QPR. I'll have that. I'm going to go down on peg. I'm going to go 2-1. Obviously, that'll be that's a good home win in this chair late on. Doesn't get any better with a late winner. So I'm going to go QPR to win again. Peterborough will put up a really good fight. I think it'll be a late winner for QPR. Right, next up, the Hawthorns is West Bromwich Albion versus Bristol City. West Bromwich Albion lost to Swansea. Bristol City were pretty much home and hosed and blew it again.
It's almost like it's becoming illegal for them to win at home. I mean, the circumstances of that were just scandalous, really, weren't they?
It's becoming a joke. It's becoming a joke now.
It is. I mean, to be 1-0 up in the 90th minute, fair enough if you can see the late equaliser, but to then go and lose it in stoppage time as well, it's crazy. You have to worry where the home win's coming from. But Craig, third best away record in the league, 4 wins out of 6. It's a very different game when Bristol City are on the road. And West Brom have not played well for 3 games now. And yes, they were lucky to get the win against Birmingham, but against Stoke and Swansea, they probably got what they deserved. They're reliant on individual magic. They're not playing well enough for me. I don't think they're going to win it, but they are unbeaten at home. So I think Bristol City will have to make do with their first draw on the road this season. And again, I'm going for the Championship's favourite scoreline.
So glad you said 1-1 because I was going to go 2-2. Yeah, well, obviously, I think West Brom fans are probably a bit annoyed, I think, how the way they've been playing, and probably not what I expected West Brom to play, to be honest. So slightly disappointed in that. Bristol City, I can't question their home form because it's just ranking that they can't seem to hold on to leads. Also, they conceded late against Luton as well. So I don't know when on earth they're going to get their home win. Away from home, as you said, pretty decent. So I think it'll be a good game. 2-2, West Brom, Bristol City. Right, 2 games on Sunday. It is Barnsley versus Sheffield United. It is a Yorkshire derby. Barnsley now second bottom of the Championship. And if it wasn't for Derby's points deduction, they will be ranked bottom.
Yeah, and I don't want to keep saying I told you so, but I did say so at the start of the season. I mean, the bottom 3 actually at the moment, I think, is exactly as I predicted it at the start of the season. So it's looking pretty good for me at the minute. But there is a massive problem there. I mean, the fans are clamouring for Marcus Schopp to go. He was never the right appointment. We've discussed it at length on here previously, and even from the appointment. But 1 win in 13 games. It's not the fact that they're not winning games as well. They're the lowest scorers in the league, 7 goals in 13 games. They're shipping goals at the other ends. And you don't know where the next result's coming from. Sheffield United, after 3 defeats in 4, must be rubbing their hands at this. They've been pretty poor away from home themselves and only got 1 win, but this has to be the day they address it. I think the way Barnsley are playing at the moment, the thing that's annoyed me with some of their recent goals, it's those classic ones where you don't see the players tracking back. They're not sprinting back. They're just sort of ambling away and not following runners. And that is the worst thing to see as a fan. So I think Marcus Schopp will get till the next international break, but they've got to score a goal to start with. I'm going to go for Sheffield United to win 2-0, but Barnsley have to win.
Yeah, you do. They have to. They really do. I can't see it. How they're going to do it. It just don't look like scoring, and it's such a worrying thing that they've got no creativity in the midfield. Obviously, losing Mowat has hurt them so badly. It's not just the backroom staff that have gone. Losing the keeper like that has hurt them badly. And I feel for players like Cordy Woodrow. Just so isolated. I feel for him. Sheffield United, it was a good comeback at the weekend. It wasn't a good comeback against Millwall. But yeah, I think this is probably the game that Sheffield United would want to bounce back in, especially a Yorkshire derby. 3-1 Sheffield United. And the final game, it is Nottingham Forest versus Fulham. A couple months ago, I would have said this is an away banker, but Forest 5 straight wins now. Fulham obviously look ruthless anyway, sitting second in the table. This could be tighter than we all think.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's going to be tight, to be honest, because we're following that Fulham pattern where they've had 2 good results in a row, albeit the performance against Cardiff wasn't great. And they often throw in a little wobbly at some point. They've already lost 2 games away from home this year. They've let in 9 goals in 6 games on the road. And I think this could be the moment for Forest. Obviously, the last home game against Blackpool, they got that first win, which I think is so crucial. The fans will be bouncing. And ironically, we're talking about Forest as playoff contenders again now. They're 4 points off the playoffs. They'll win this game. They could be well into the top half. It's an amazing turnaround. But then the other side of that, Craig, is when does the new manager bounce? And we've discussed it so many times doing these predictions over the last year and a half or so. Forest don't score many at home. For everything else, they don't score a huge amount. But I'm going to bank on them to win. I'm going to go for 1-0 to Nottingham Forest. And I think this is going to be the ultimate disappointment because everyone's expecting a great game.
This is actually, I do think it would be tight. How do you deal with Mitrovic? How do you deal with Harry Wilson? How do you deal with Bobby Decover-Reid? That's going to be the tough one for Nottingham Forest. I think they've had a good run of games where they should pick up points, and also well done to them. They obviously won all their games, but this is a very, very good Fulham side, especially when they attack. I think Fulham will sneak this one 2-1, but I don't think it's going to be a comfortable 2-1 win for Fulham. It'll be a really, really close game. Let's have a quick recap what we just predicted for match day 14. There is 5 1-1s between us. There are 5 2-0s between us. We expect goals galore again in the Championship. And those are predictions for match day 14. Do you agree with us or disagree with us? Let us know in the comment section down there and give us your predictions for this weekend's action. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the Honest Football Podcast, and you can follow us on Twitter @HonestFootball3. And we'll see you next time.